Welcome to Taking It to the Next Level, a Minnesota Collegiate DECA podcast where we will discuss the world of DECA and talk to professionals about what makes someone successful in today's world. I am the president of Minnesota Collegiate DECA, Zach Spohn. On today's show, our topic of discussion will be Minnesota Collegiate DECA's Innovation Summit. This is Minnesota Collegiate DECA's first conference of the school year. The conference will be held virtually for the first time ever and will be a week-long experience. Today, I am fortunate enough to be joined by the Executive Director of Minnesota Collegiate DECA, Ms. Jennifer Shouse-Klassen, to discuss the first ever virtual Innovation Summit. Hi, Jenny. How are you today?
I'm good, Zach. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. I'm really excited to talk about what we've kind of planned out for the Innovation Summit this year, and I think this is a good way to get everyone to really understand how it's going to operate, because it's going to be very different than in years past.
It is going to be a little bit different. We are taking what is typically a half-day conference, and we are spreading it out over 6 days. And so there'll be lots of opportunity for our members to engage in the conference and to connect with other members and also to compete. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, and we're going to get into all that, but before we do that, maybe we should talk a little bit about who you are. Like I said, you are the Executive Director of Minnesota Collegiate DECA. So do you want to tell us about what your first experience might have been in DECA, and then how you kind of got involved after that, or how your life kind of went on after DECA?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually am an alum as well. And so I started in DECA as a college student. So there's high school DECA, many of you probably know that, and there's collegiate DECA. And I did not know about DECA until I got to college. I went to school at Alexandria Technical College, which is now Alexandria Technical and Community College in Minnesota. And I was actually I majored in hospitality and restaurant management. And I was introduced to DECA through my instructors there, Bob DeFries and Harlan Karlstad, and I got involved that way, went to a few conferences and was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I ended up being a chapter officer while I was there. It was a 2-year degree that I was pursuing at the time. I ended up being a chapter officer. And then the next year I was elected as a state officer, and I actually served in the same role that you're serving in as the president of Minnesota Collegiate DECA. At the time we were called Delta Epsilon Chi, so if you see that around, that was a thing. We changed our branding a while ago, but I was a member of a 6-person officer team just like you are, and that was in 2003, 2004, so that was a while ago. And then with my friend, who's also a fellow officer, Carla, we started worked to start a chapter at Southwest Minnesota State University, which is where I transferred to in Marshall, Minnesota. And then I've just stayed involved as an alum. After I graduated from SMSU, I eventually actually changed my major to theater, and I have a 4-year degree in theater and a master's degree in theater. And I taught at Augustana College in Sioux Falls for 5 years, and I've been a business owner. Unfortunately, we just closed our doors, but sometimes those things happen and you have to take a new direction. And I've actually been in this role for 3 years. This is my 3rd year as executive director, and that came about just being involved. I was involved as an alum, as many of our alumni are. Many of our alumni come back every year and help us with conferences, and they've been doing so for years, if not decades. We have very dedicated alumni, and so I was coming back and doing that, and when the opportunity became open to apply for the executive director position, as our former executive director, Holly, was leaving, I applied for that, and fortunately the board decided to put myself and my co-director, Catherine Rice, who was a former advisor, in this role, and we shared those responsibilities now.
Sure. So now that you are the executive director of Minnesota Collegiate DECA, can you tell us briefly a little bit about what that entails, like what you're doing on maybe not a day-to-day basis, but what your job duties kind of are?
Absolutely.
Because I know, but I'm sure a lot of people don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes.
Absolutely, and that's very true. A lot of things it's sort of like the magic of theater, where a lot of things happen behind the scenes, and it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and we just kind of think things happen. So like I said, I was hired in the role of executive director prior to myself and Kate being hired in this role. this role was actually fulfilled by one person. And so the board made the decision to actually split those responsibilities, and that was to make it possible for us to, well, basically do more and have more connections.
Yeah.
And we work in a partnership that way. So Kate is the director, Catherine Rice, as I said, Kate is the director of operations, and she is the official liaison to DECA Inc. She's a voting member within the DECA Inc. Membership for Minnesota Association. She also handles all of our financials and deals with our funding organization, the MFSO, or Minnesota Foundation for Student Organizations. I have the responsibilities of planning conferences. I am the primary marketing and fundraising contact, and I also do all of the work with and training for the state officers.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was a good peek behind the curtain. I think people can really understand like what goes on behind the scenes, like I said, with you and Kate, and it doesn't just happen like that. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into these things. So speaking of that, you talked about putting on conferences. So let's talk about what we're supposed to talk about here today. Let's talk about the first ever virtual innovation summit and how it's going to work. The Innovation Summit will be a 6-day event held virtually from Sunday, October 4th until Friday, October 9th. For all registered participants, the virtual conference will include a keynote speaker, networking opportunities, seminars from industry experts, some DECA swag, and a challenge with cash prizes. And I think that's a good synopsis of things, but I think the easiest way to go through and help everyone understand what they're going to get from this conference is to go through it day by day. So do you think that'd be best, Jenny?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a good thing to know is some of our members, Innovation Summit is the first time they ever have contact with Collegiate DECA, and it's a really great opportunity to sort of test the waters a little bit and see what DECA is about. If you hadn't heard about it, or if Collegiate DECA, maybe you know about high school DECA, but Collegiate DECA is a slightly different experience just because we're serving a slightly different membership. And so Innovation Summit, typically when we hold it in person, is a half-day event. We usually are at the Mall of America, or that's where we have been for the past few years. And all of the activities that we're doing, that we'll do virtually, we fit into that half-day conference. So we typically have a keynote speaker. We typically have 15 to 20 industry experts. Many of them are alumni, but many of them are also our business partners that come in and give 15 to 20 minute presentations. And so all of our members have the opportunity to see 3 of those. And then we put you in teams, and we issue a challenge, and then you have some time to come up with a solution to your challenge. That's presented to our judges, which are often the same people that were our presenters and our industry experts. And then our top 3 teams that from that initial judging process get to present to the entire conference. And then that final round of judging, the top team usually wins registration to CDC, which is our spring conference and our main competitive conference. So we took all of that and put that into sort of a 6-day thing. And part of the reason that we spread that out was actually because as all of these things have changed over the last 6 months, we know that our students and our members' schedules really have too. Just on our officer team, we have varying or widely different schedules. And so trying to accommodate the most members and making sure that people can access it and be part and join in what we're doing is what we were trying to do by spreading that out.
Yeah, I think that's a good synopsis of why we kind of decided to do it this way, because it is certainly unique, especially if you've done this conference before. You know that normally it was a 1-day commitment, and now it's probably the same amount of time commitment, to be honest, but it's just going to be spread out over 6 days, so it'll be accessible for everyone, because like you said, everyone's schedules have changed and evolved in this crazy world we live in now.
Yes. Yes.
So let's get into it. The opening session, or the first night of the conference, will be Sunday. Our keynote speaker Do you want to go ahead and talk about her a little bit and how the attendees of the conference will be able to access her keynote and how that's going to all kind of work?
Absolutely. So our keynote speaker this year is a speaker we've had before. Her name is Ursula Menches. She's actually a local person. She's from Minnesota, and she is she's an excellent speaker. Last time we had her at CDC, and she was incredibly well received. So she is the founder of Sales Coach Now, which is an organization that helps coach business people and organizations to really maximize their sales potential and take their businesses to the next level. And she also has written several books, including The Belief Zone and One Great Goal, both of which I've read. And they're really accessible, and they really help people to kind of take either their personal vision of what they want to do or their business, again, to that next level and push forward and kind of take away the barriers that keep us from doing those things. And right now, she's especially, that's especially timely because there's a lot of barriers that there weren't 6 months ago. And so one of her key things is going to be talking about how we navigate, going forward, how we pivot.
Sure. And how will our members or attendees of the conference be able to, so there's a little bit of logistics here with the virtual conference and a keynote. So how is that all going to work?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that. So every time we do something new, we learn something, right? And so fortunately, we get to learn how to deliver virtual conferences, and hopefully we do a good job of that. So that's the goal. So the way that we're going to do that is her session will actually be released on YouTube. It will be on our YouTube channel. It will be password protected, and we will get that information and access to that will actually be given out to our members via email. And so you have to be a registered participant to be given access to that, and you'll be given a link to that via email. So when you're registering, it'll be really important to make sure that your email information is in there, because we will be using an app called Sketch. And Sketch actually allows us to put all of our conference sessions in there, and then you get to create a profile and decide what sessions you'll be attending, and then you'll get sent schedules and links to all of the different sessions. So that's one of the primary ways that's the primary way that you'll actually get access to that if you're a registered participant. And again, I just want to, we do want to stress that we'll want that email information in there. And that information is also being sent to advisors, because you'll want to register with your advisor. So, so that they know that that's something that we need to make sure that you guys get what you need to be able to be there.
Awesome. So that's Sunday. That's the opening session keynote. Monday, so you talked about how normally at Innovation Summit, there is those big roundtables with industry experts, and they give those talks, and the students have the ability to attend 3 of those while they're at the conference. That's going to work obviously a little bit different this year with all of us not being there. So do you want to talk a little bit about how those talks, or those insight talks, I guess, or seminars is the word I'm looking for, will be given to the participants this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, our keynote speaker, that session will be released at 7 p.m. on October 4th, which is a Sunday. And then the next day we will release, and I believe I set the time at right around 9 a.m. I think that's what I said, that we will release the expert sessions. And so we will have 5 of those. And that is, that they will be in topics related to the things that you'll want to hear about, in order to be able to address the challenge that we will issue later. And so that might include sales, management, marketing, hospitality, financial, all of those things that are relevant to either starting a business, or at this point, pivoting what a business might be doing in order to make it relevant to how you can serve your customers now. And so those will be released again via our YouTube channel. They'll be password protected. The links to have access to those will be sent out via email and our Schedule app. And then you will, all of our participants, our registered participants, will have the opportunity to view those on their own time, and it's not a time gated access to it. Once you have access to it, it's there, and you don't have to view it within a certain amount of time. So you can always go back to it, which is great, because when you are working in the challenge, you can always go back to the experts if you need to. And so those will be available that way. They'll be 15 to 20-minute talks. We're trying to keep it so that it's a very easily digestible time period. And if you choose to view all 5, which I really encourage you to do, because they'll be in different topic areas, it doesn't take too much of your time. We know you guys are busy students and busy people.
And that's the great thing. Like you said, you'll always be able to go back to it. So even if people are busy, this gives them access to it when they have the time to do it. And I think that's another reason, like we kind of talked about, why we're spreading things out this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We want to be able to give the most access to the most members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's Sunday and Monday. Tuesday, Tuesday, I believe that would make it Tuesday, October 6th. Yes. The challenge will actually be released, the Innovation Summit Challenge. The participants in the conference can form teams of up to 3 people, and they will film themselves using a cell phone or recorded Zoom call to present their resolution to the challenge, and that recording should be 5 minutes long. Do we want to talk a little bit more about the challenge, or do we want to do that towards the end when we get till Friday?
Yeah, so typically the challenge, like I said, is a team challenge. Because we are navigating a virtual world at this time, which all of us are, no, that's not news to anybody. We are trying to make that so that we can also provide a measure of safety for our members. We don't want to encourage members to get together if they don't feel safe doing that. And so, and that's also why we can do it via Zoom call, because you can always create a team via Zoom call. And so what we'll do is that challenge will be issued via email on that Tuesday. And then all of our members will have from Tuesday until midnight on what is really Thursday, but it's Wednesday night. Wednesday night at
11:59 Wednesday. Yep, right. Exactly.
To come up with a solution to the challenge and submit it to us. And we will have instructions on how to submit that in the email where we issue the challenge. And then those submissions will then be judged by our industry experts, and there will be feedback available to that, because that's an important part of that process, and it will probably be done via forms that'll be sent out to our individual participants. And then yeah, so that's kind of be that whole challenge section of that. Typically, as I said, that'd be done all in one day, and we put you in teams. But what this also does, though, is typically we try to put you in teams so that you actually get to network across campuses. And because we're going to be virtual, that's a little bit harder to do, but it does give you the opportunity to compete with members on your team on a different campus. So if you did want to form a team, one person from, say, MSU Moorhead and one person from Bethel University in the cities, you could do that. And the only stipulation is that you can only submit once. So you submit as a team or you submit as an individual, and that's it.
Right, and exactly, it's a good clarification at the end there, Jenny, that you can form a team if you want to, but also we don't want to encourage people to necessarily get together if they're not comfortable with that, and that's why you're able to do it by yourself as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Want to make it, like I said, again, access for the most number of people.
Okay, yes, exactly. So that's Sunday through Tuesday there, and now we're going to move on to Wednesday, which is you kind of talked about or touched on a little bit, but that's going to be the officer networking part of the program. So do you want to talk about a little bit how that's going to work for our participants?
Absolutely. So as I said, during that entire time, teams and individuals can be working on their submission for the challenge, but what we want to offer is a key part of our in-person conferences, and we know this both as advisors for the association and also just as human beings. A key part of it is the networking, and that was something that your state officer team also mentioned, that you really wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to network with our members. And so we incorporated a networking opportunity into the Innovation Summit Conference, and that will work as 3 scheduled networking calls. They will be via Zoom, and again, links to that will be sent out in email via the Sketch app. And we're going to do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one in the evening, again, to accommodate as many schedules as possible. And there will be at least 2 officers on each of those calls, and really just an opportunity to brainstorm, meet each other, network, ask questions, and connect across the state. And those will be pretty loosely mediated in terms of, it doesn't necessarily have to have a timeline of this is what we're going to talk about exactly,
Right.
but just an opportunity to connect with each other and get to know each other a little bit better.
Yeah, we'll do a
about
little.
an hour long each time.
Yep, a little bit of networking in our Zoom world.
Absolutely.
And like you said, there'll be 3 different time slots that participants can do. They can do all of them, I guess, or they can do one of them, or none of them if they choose to. So that there'll be 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and then 1 in the evening as well.
And I believe the times were 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m.
Sounds right. And so that's the event on Wednesday, and then remember, Wednesday at 11:59, the week of the Innovation Summit, your submission is due for the challenge. And then that brings us till Thursday, which is when the participants can expect to get their feedback back from their judges for the Innovation Summit. And you had kind of talked about that a little bit already.
Yeah, most of Thursday is going to be an opportunity for our judges to take a look at the submissions and make a call on that, and then submit their feedback. And so the feedback part of that may come a little bit later in the day, or it may come on Friday, and it's really going to depend on how quickly judging happens and how many submissions we have. But we do want to make sure that we do provide that feedback portion of it, because that's a really key part of what happens in person. And also, if we're going to learn and grow, we need to get that feedback from those people who are helping us to do that.
Exactly. So then that's Thursday, and then this brings us to the final day of the conference, Friday. Do you want to talk about the logistics of how the 5 teams are going to be announced that are going to present in our final Zoom conference, and then everything that comes after that as well?
Yes, absolutely. So after the judging process happens on Thursday, we will take the top 5 teams, and the top 5 teams will be announced on Friday morning, and that should be sent out via email, actually.
Yep.
And so what we are asking for all of our registered participants, because we don't know, we're hoping you're in that top 5, that you kind of set aside that 2 p.m. time slot for Friday afternoon, because we want to have the whole conference come together on a big Zoom call and have those top 5 teams be able to present to the conference at large. And so we'll announce who those top 5 teams are on Friday morning, and then those top 5 teams will present their solutions on Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. They will be judged by a separate set of judges, and the top 3 teams will actually win prizes. So do you want to talk about that, Zach, actually?
Sure. We kind of buried the lead here, I guess. So to participate in, or you're participating in the challenge here, there are some prizes at the end. I suppose maybe we should have gotten to that earlier, but here's your incentive, I guess, to be involved in the conference and take part in the challenge. The first place team will receive $1,000 cash prize for winning the event. The second place team will be a $500 cash prize for winning the event. And the third place team will receive free registration to the state conference CDC in the spring as well. And the prize money will be distributed evenly to your participants. So if you're 1 person in your team, you get all the prize money. If you're 2, you got to divide it up between you guys. 3, same thing. But like I said, first place, you win $1,000. Second place, you win $500. And third place, you get free registration at the state conference.
And That's exactly right. And that is something new this year. Typically, we do not have cash prizes, but being that it's a virtual experience and we're wanting to make sure that it's something that members really want to participate in. We know a lot of things are virtual, and we know that it could feel like one more thing, but this is a really awesome opportunity, not only to win some money, but also really to network with others and to learn from business and industry professionals that you wouldn't have the opportunity to learn from otherwise. And so many thanks to one of our board members, Jacob Ward, and his family, James and Jenny Ward, are the donors for our top prize, and then Jacob Ward and one of our other board members, Thomas Munson, both of whom are former state officers, are our donors for our second place prize. So many thanks to them as well. They decided to pitch in for that and make that possible so that we can really reward our competitors.
Yes, so if you are participating in the conference and you are doing the challenge, make sure you block off that 2 p.m. It's a, 3 or 4 p.m. time slot on Friday so that you have the opportunity to compete in the final competition if you make it, and then win that cash prize like we had said before.
That's right. That's right. And it's also just a good opportunity to sort of have a little bit of that virtual conference feel. Even since all of this has started, I've had the opportunity to attend a couple of virtual conferences, and it's really a good thing to connect with each other, even if it's over a screen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%. So I think that's a good synopsis of what the conference is. We should probably talk about a little bit how you can register and actually participate in the conference. So this podcast is being released on September the 9th, which is a Wednesday, and I believe registration opens September 11th, which is Friday. Correct?
Correct, absolutely. So the way that you'll register is you'll want to get a hold of your advisor for your chapter, and they will help you with registration. Again, like I said, all of your advisors have this information as well, but make sure that you are providing your email address, because we will need that in order to be able to connect with you and deliver conference materials and access to the different sessions. So again, just contact your advisor and they can help you get registered that way.
Exactly, and the early bird registration closes September 25th, which is 2 weeks after the registration opens on the 11th. Correct?
Yes, correct. Yep, and the reason that that's significant is there's any registration after that point does have an increased registration fee, and that's just because there's a little bit more logistics that have to do when we're fitting people in. So
yeah, so I think this was a good, not necessarily a primer on what the innovation summit will be, and also a little peek behind the curtain of what goes into all this. And our goal as an officer team and the state as well, Jenny and the board and everything, is to continue to provide value to our members through in our virtual world. We know it's not necessarily ideal, but our job is to make the best of it, and that's what we're trying to do here, and providing you programming like this.
Absolutely. And I know that just from calls and from conferences that I've been a part of this summer, our national team at DECA Inc. in Virginia is working really hard to be able to do the same thing. They're providing resources to the state associations and chapter advisors to make it possible to deliver great content and to be able to still connect and do the things that DECA does really well. Things that are coming up that we can talk about, or that might be talked about in further podcasts. The stock market game is going to be offered again this fall, and so that's an excellent opportunity to participate virtually. And that we are also going to be offered a virtual business challenge. If you're familiar with that from high school, they're offering it for Collegiate this year in the fall, and I apologize for my Great Pyrenees. And so there's some great opportunities to compete and learn, even from DECA Inc., from the national organization. And so that effort is across the board out there to make it quality experiences, even in a situation where we may not be able to be together all the time.
Right, exactly. So I think that's a good place to stop. We kind of got, I hope everyone understands what we're trying to do here with the Innovation Summit and how it'll all work. Like we said, registration opens September 11th. And if you want to get involved and you want to participate, make sure you get in contact with your advisor, your chapter officers, and make sure that you get registered to participate in this great conference and this great opportunity. Throughout our series of podcasts leading up to the state conference in February, the state officer team will continue to share their own stories and stories of others surrounding Minnesota Collegiate DECA. I'm Zach Spone, and I'd like to thank Jenny for being my guest today, and I'd like to thank everyone for listening. See you next time.